Hello. Welcome to my 31st October. I'm Lucky27, and this is a series of stories I have often told about my life. This is part 2 of the story entitled, Die with a Smile. I knew it was stupid. I knew there was no going back. I knew that he was still technically in a relationship and how rebounds work. But I didn't care. I had to tell him, but I was so nervous. Finally, he started saying goodbye, talking about how I needed sleep, and I couldn't wait anymore. I told him that, yeah, I needed to sleep, but that I had a confession to make. I told him in a way like it was no big deal, and that I just thought he should know. But I told him, hey, just so you know, I've had a thing for you since I met you. Take it how you want, just thought you should know. And he, being the absolute turd that he is, dropped his voice to use the same tone he had used with me to make me think he hated me, and growled out, I know. I, realizing I may have just made a mistake in timing, was kicking myself for saying anything since he sounded annoyed, like he had all throughout our teen years. So now, sheepish and slightly stunned, since I thought I had kept it closer to my chest than that, I said, You knew? To which he chuckled darkly and said, Yeah, everyone knew. To which I started dying inside and said, Oh no, oh God, I thought I was better at hiding it than that. He laughed again and said, Nope, you suck at it. Even your ex knew. Which I was too mortified to say anything else at that point. Thankfully, he took mercy out on me, changed his voice to a much lighter one, and said, I wanted you to. I blew up on him after that. As he laughed, I asked what he meant by that. I had thought he hated me. So why did he act so cold the whole time if he knew I wanted him? His response was, Bros before hoes. Then he said that he had been nice to me, I just wasn't paying attention. I asked him when. When on earth had he shown me anything that I should have taken as proof that he liked me? He brought up a couple of times that were really weak signs of affection, such as playing happy slaps with me and letting me force him to dress up and go trick-or-treating with me. And then he mentioned one time that, if I hadn't been so innocent, would have been sound proof. That being a hard-on, he told me was a comb. And then he brought up the time at Target when I asked him if he was dating someone, and he said no. I reminded him that he had said much more than that. That he had said he hadn't found someone worth his time. I had taken that to include me. According to him, he was trying to bait me into telling him that I was worth his time, but that I hadn't, so he'd let it go. But, he said, if I had just shown some balls, we could have avoided the past couple of years of dancing around each other and gotten together, since the feeling is mutual. To which I very quietly asked, The feeling is mutual? Does that mean you still want me? And he sighed, like I was stupid or something, and said, Who did I call? And I said, Me? To which he said, There you go. We were quiet for a bit before I said, So I'll call you after work? And he said, Yep. And we hung up. That led to us being on the phone every moment we could to talk to each other. I even would put the phone on speaker while I was in the shower, and so would he. I worked day shift at an apartment complex for Section 8 elderly, and he worked nights at a McDonald's. We barely slept, so we could talk to each other. Then, in late May of that year, I made my annual trip, and we stayed together in a hotel. Get your minds out of the gutter, we weren't even dating then. I was a good girl, still a virgin, and he had only had one physical relationship, and that had just ended less than 2 months earlier. We just spent time together. We laid around talking, listening to music, and just being together. Yeah, we made out a little, but he respected my boundaries. But two things happened during those 3 days together that really shaped our relationship. The first was shampoo. Yeah, you heard me. So all of this was a couple of years after 9/11, and flying was getting more difficult. You used to be able to get away with bringing shampoo and conditioner in your carry-on, but not after 9/11. I had forgotten this, and they took my shampoo and conditioner at TSA. So when I got to the hotel after landing, I started looking for shampoo and conditioner in the hotel, hoping they weren't so low rent that they wouldn't even have that. When my husband saw this, he asked me what I was doing. So I explained what had happened. He then kissed my head and told me he would go out and get some for me. I told him he didn't have to, but he told me that he hadn't brought any himself, so we needed it anyway. This was probably 10 o'clock at night. He was gone for a while. When he had come back, I asked what had taken so long. He told me that he had needed to walk about 10 blocks away to the only open store at that time of night, which was a Walgreens, to get the shampoo. Then he pulls out the very shampoo and conditioner that TSA had taken. Now, I hadn't told him what to get. I had simply told him to get the cheapest shampoo, but that I would prefer something citrusy. But he brought the exact shampoo that was taken from me. It wasn't the cheapest either. Now, knowing my husband the way I know him now, I can guess what happened. When he kissed my head, he smelled my hair. Then, when he was at the Walgreens, he got the one that smelled the closest. Because that's my husband. He loves making me think he's psychic, when in reality, he's just hypervigilant. He notices everything. I fell for it then, but I know him now. But he took the time to find the right one so that I would be happy. That's who he is. That was at the beginning of the 3 days. At the end of the 3 days came the second thing that shaped us as a couple. So we had pizza, and my stomach hated it. I was on the toilet for a nice slice of that night, and he went out for another walk to Walgreens. Only this time, he didn't have to go that far. But he did. All I asked for was Pepto, but I had made a comment about how I wished I had Werner's ginger ale to help my stomach. But everywhere he went before Walgreens didn't carry it. So he walked the 10 blocks in a bad neighborhood again just to get me what I wanted. Not what I asked for, but what I wanted. He has done this many times since. A couple of times for Werner's. But that time really meant a great deal to me. That was when I made the second boldest statement I have ever made to a man I fancied, which was, well, I guess that's what boyfriends do for their girlfriends when they care about them a lot. Shut up. I was 22 and extremely sheltered. His eyebrows went up and he chuckled, "Oh, is that what we are?" To which I simply answered, "Yes, if you want." He made me wait in agony for a few seconds before he shrugged his shoulders and said, "Yeah, okay." Then he smiled and kissed me. It was probably the happiest I had ever been up to that point in my life. I was still on cloud 9 when I left. If only I knew what drama my happiness would cause my family members when I got home, I might have just stayed with him rather than have to go through all that nonsense with them. But that's another story. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the journey with me. I'm not sure how often I'll be posting something here, so leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and the bell, so you get updated when I do post. If you have questions or you want to know more about something I've said, please leave a comment and maybe I'll make a video explanation on the subject. But please be polite and courteous with the comments. My feelings don't get hurt, but the world has enough hate and judgment in it. It doesn't need yours on this video. If you think you know who I am, please don't leave a comment guessing my identity. Just send an email to the address in the description box. Thanks, and I'll see you when I see you.